Good evening, and we'll get started. It's 8:30, 6:30 on the dot. We should really Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the executive meeting. Let's start with item 39, which is the apologies this evening. So, any apologies?
Chairman, I've had apologies from Councillor Simon Weeks.
So, just one apologies, Councillor Simon Weeks. Thank you very much indeed. So, any declarations of interest? Thank you very much indeed. This evening we've got no public questions that have come in, or no member questions either. So we just go through the items for consideration, and that's item 43, which is the Highways and Transportation Term Service Contract Renewal, which is page 5 to 64. And just a reminder that the executive could exclude the press and the public in order to discuss any items in part 2 in the agenda. They're marked in the pink papers. If members do wish to go into any of that detail, please can let me know, because obviously I will need to make the announcement about this meeting. So, any questions on papers this evening in part 1?
Present 5%, if you don't mind. Super. Members, it's a bit deja vu. I was involved in the previous contract and the one before that as well. So I seem to have gone round this a number of occasions. And to be fair, I think that this has been a very good process. I think my predecessors in this role through this contract renewal have done a very, very good job, and I think the officers have done well too. I'd just like to bring a couple of things to everyone's attention. Firstly, we're planning to, in the previous contract we've had some white-collar services provided to us by our current contract provider that were externalised. Some of that was due to problems recruitment in the past, and we also had special services like some that we've used traffic modelling in the past to help us ensure that Reading didn't go and make the wrong decision on their IDR. And so we had access to specialists as well. In this contract, the people who currently work here and are integrated with our highways team will be brought back in-house. And so perhaps a little unusual, but that was considered that would work better. And so we will only effectively be having the specialist services as part of the external contract, some of which will potentially be done here, but there is also a provision for them to be done at their own offices, which obviously is less costly to us because we get a better rate for that. So I think that aspect of the contract has changed, but I think it's beneficial. And on the maintenance and construction contract, similar to what we had before, we put in highways inspectors into the contract, and I think we're running a couple of other contracts as well. So a bit more resilience to it, and I think again a good decision has been made on that. And from a financial perspective, I think it gives us good value for money. So I'm very pleased to recommend it to the executive.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Pollock. I've got down a number of questions already from members. The first one was Councillor Jorgensen. Norman.
Okay, thanks. This seems pretty comprehensive. I wonder if you could just spell out what the benefits will be to our residents of this new contract, please?
I think there will be better quality service, both from the professional services and also for the, what I could loosely call the blue-collar services, the people who actually do it. One of the big aspects, I think, from the service will be a new mapping system, which will enable all residents, councillors to log issues on the map, but also that the street work side of things will be loaded onto the map, so everyone will be able to see what's coming over the horizon, where it is and what's happening. So I think from that perspective, perhaps we as council might get fewer questions from residents as to having to act as an interface between the resident and the relevant officer, because they'll be able to log and self-serve themselves, and I think that will enable us to get involved in the really important stuff, and it will enable residents to have perhaps less frustration that things get lost in the system. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think we will need to have some training sessions for members over the next few months, possibly in January, to get us up to speed on that, because it's a new feature, and I'm even told there will be a mobile phone app, so people will be able to take photographs, presumably, and log stuff directly onto the system. So,
Well, if you want to know, I can.
Thank you. The next question is from Councillor Merton.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very pleased to hear it's good value for money, Anthony, which is always important. But following a workshop I've actually been attending just this afternoon, I'd just like to throw one at you to see whether you could enlighten me as to whether the parties involved in the new contract will all work from the same IT base, so therefore for any contracts there will be full visibility across the board. I think that's quite an important process.
I believe that is the case. I think the other aspect of the contract is that the value for money will be that we can resurface more roads and fill more potholes than we could do on the older contract. And perhaps I think the key piece is that we've emphasised partnership working, and so we would expect a better relationship, which should mean speedier work, better quality work, and such.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And the next question is from Councillor Munro.
Thank you, Chairman. Anthony, I'm interested. One of my pet subjects, I think, is outsourcing and then bringing it back in again. I noticed that we're bringing the staff back in-house. Is that a good idea? Obviously, you think that might well be a good idea, but we went through pains to do the opposite before. Just have a review.
Yes, I think you're right. I think we've been in situations in the past where the private sector seemed to be the solution and being more innovative. And I think also certainly in the previous round of contracts, we had serious problems recruiting highway staff. I think partly that because the scale of work and the resilience wasn't as strong, and therefore the opportunities that the private sector contractor offered to staff for professional development was attractive. One of the features has been that because of the way that the inflation has kicked in on the current contract, it actually means we're paying substantially more for the staff than we would do if they were in-house, which is one of the reasons for bringing them back in-house. So I think we will save money, and that will go back into the enabling us to do more road resurfacing and pothole filling, etc.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Janetsky.
Thank you. Anthony knows how I like to risk assess everything, so how confident are we that the maintenance and construction contract is resilient?
I think you ask a very good question. I think we've had some issues with the current contractors, partly because they only have Wokingham in the local area, the wider local area, and therefore there's nobody else that they can call upon when there are emergencies and extra capacity is needed. I'm really pleased that the new contractor has a number of other contracts in the local area, and therefore I would expect that if we had a need for emergency staff, that there would be abilities to get extra capacity. The only downside is it could go the other way as well. So, but I think again the importance of the partnership working, the relationship with the contractor, and the relationship with the plant management side becomes even more important. I know the officers are something they've particularly specified in the contract because they reckon it will give them better working relationships and better productivity for the council.
Thank you. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you. I note the contract is for 7 years, extendable by a further 3 years if performance is satisfactory. How are we going to measure that performance to ensure that it is satisfactory? Were we to consider extending that contract?
I would expect it will be linked to our experience all around, our experience as members, public feedback. I think you've been around long enough to remember the Bounty contract and remember that our experience in that contract was not very good, and surprise, they didn't get the renewal. So I think actually we are quite very good at assessing whether people are good or not. We know whether they are responding quickly or not, and I would expect it to be obvious, but I think there will be some technical assessments as as well, as you would expect. But I haven't got that level of detail.
Thank you.
Councillor Norman Jorgensen.
Thanks. If if this works out to be this great success that we hope it will be, is it possible to add other things into the contract as it goes along?
I think, to answer your question slightly elliptically, we have set up the professional services contract so that if we have a very good experience, other councils can piggyback on our contract, and we get some kickback on that. So I think we have looked at that. We have talked to other councils in the local area, and if it's something that they feel that they want to join at some point or get involved at some point, certainly it's there for them to do so. And as I said, we will get a contribution, which again enables us to do more for our residents.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or queries? Thank you very much indeed. That's very clear. I'd like to thank officers for all of the hard work. It's been, I think, a whole year putting this together, and there's been a huge amount of stakeholder engagement during this process, and that goes through out to the public, but also through every scrutiny, and that's been key to getting this to where it's got to today, and also cross-party working. I know that some of my cross-party colleagues are sat there in the audience, and they've taken part in that work. This contract should deliver much better quality work, value for money, more potholes being filled. So that's going to be great news for everybody out there. I know it's a bugbear for many people. But also, the IT is, coming along, and it should make it a lot easier for not only members to access, the services, but actually residents as well. So again, a good contract, and well done to everybody that's been involved. So just before I go on to the recommendations, I'd just like to point everybody to page 5 and note that under the open procurement legislation, the award of these contracts will be subject to the mandatory 10-day standstill challenge period known as Alcatel. So just to remind people that obviously it's confidential, particularly Part 2 papers, for 10 days, and that's till Wednesday the 3rd of October, so just remind members not to disclose anything for that period of time. So the recommendations, 4 recommendations are set out on page 6. So all of those members in favour of the recommendations set out as written in the papers. Thank you very much indeed. So full support for the paper tonight. Thank you very much indeed.